Hello, my name's Cody, and I'm working on a 2D survival horror game called Never Forgotten, which you can wishlist now on Steam and try the demo for free. Over the past week, I've been finishing up Polish with Chapter 2 of Act 2 in the game. For the most part, it is entirely complete. It can be played from start to finish. There's no placeholder sprites, animations, or text. Aside from a few minor additions that I'll be doing later down the road, the level is finished. When I was polishing the level, I realized that the boss in this chapter was incredibly underwhelming. The issue was that the fight was relatively lengthy and had this grand music, yet the fight itself lacked a lot of variety and got stale fast as a result. Having recently watched an Undertale playthrough, I realized that for a lot of boss fights, that as the fight progressed, previous attacks became more difficult. Previously, when I had attempted to add variety to my boss fights, I would just create entirely new attacks, which could be quite slow. This is because each new attack tends to need its own art in the form of projectile sprites and its own custom programming. For this fight, I realized that I could increase its difficulty as it progressed, but to ensure the fight had the variety it needed relative to its length, I added two additional attacks. A standard bullet rain attack and a spike attack, both of which are using pre-existing framework, so it was just a matter of giving them unique visuals mostly. To go about implementing this, I realized that I need to build a foundation that will allow me to slightly alter the behavior of an attack without needing to clutter a single attack function. I opted for making new functions for attacks with several modified versions. These functions will take several inputs depending on the type of attack and will execute the attack from there. The way they progress in difficulty is rather simple. After an attack is used, its account goes up by 1. The next time that attack is picked, the function ran will check the current attack count in a switch statement and input the appropriate variables to modify the attack for that turn. The easiest way to increase the difficulty of an attack is to increase its speed, so I added functionality for each projectile to be affected accordingly by this change. So now all I need to do to change projectile speed is to input a modifier, which depending on the projectile can not only change how fast it goes, but how fast new projectiles are spawned, and how long a projectile will wait before attacking. For attacks that required a bit of extra scripting though, I simply did some spaghetti code shenanigans and checked for this current attack count. If it matches a certain number, it will run entirely new scripting for that instance and return out of the function where the regular attack scripting occurs. So with that now done, I'll show off what the finished fight looks like now. Some things are definitely subject to change, mostly balancing, but this should be a good representation of the final version of this fight. If you wish to skip past this, you can use the chapter selection. So that's all for this week. I've began working on polishing up the visuals and dialogue for Act 2 Chapter 1, which is going well, but will take another day or two before I can move on to Act 2 Chapter 3. If you're interested in checking the game out, by following the link in the description or in the comments, you could wishlist the game and try the demo for it. Either of which would be greatly appreciated, thanks. If you want to stay up to date with news regarding the game, subscribing would be incredibly helpful. Alrighty then, I'll be back next week with another devlog. Until then.